found a little black snake on my way back to the dorm. Its scales shimmered like polished obsidian, perfectly complementing my pet white snake. I decided to bring it home. Another snake? Liam raised an eyebrow as the ebony serpent coiled around my wrist. Since freshman orientation, when I'd confessed my unusual hobby, my roommates had accepted my reptilian companions without fuss. It's a stray, I explained, extending the snake toward him. Liam's hand faltered mid-reach. It's not venomous, right? Black king snake. Harmless. The serpent suddenly reared its head, hissing sharply. Liam withdrew with nervous laughter. Guess we're not meant to be friends. The creature transformed into liquid shadow as it slid onto my desk. Obsidian coils arranging themselves into a perfect spiral. Its jewel-like eyes tracked my movements with canine devotion. When I stroked its head, the snake wriggled like an ecstatic puppy, tongue flickering rhythmically. Strange finding this breed on campus, Liam mused, keeping his distance. Probably someone's escaped pet. I snapped a photo for the dorm group chat. The snake immediately burrowed under my hoodie, cool scales brushing my stomach before I extracted the mischievous creature. Bad boy. It slumped dramatically when I flicked its tail, winding the chastised serpent around my arm. I moved toward the terrarium housing Snowflake. The crash came as I reached for the glass lid. The dorm room door swung open, revealing Ethan. His usual composure was shattered, pale skin flushed unnaturally, sweat beading beneath his disheveled bangs as he leaned heavily against the doorframe, chest heaving. Are you sick? I asked, concern prickling my throat. Ethan shook his head, taking several shuddering breaths before straightening. His gaze locked onto the obsidian serpent coiled around my wrist, emerald eyes narrowing to slits. Just as I thought, he ground out, jaw clenched so tight I heard his molars creak. That's weird. I lifted the glistening black snake toward him. Do you know Shadow? Never seen it? Ethan snapped, though his whitened knuckles told a different story. The snake flicked its forked tongue lazily, tail tip twitching in what suspiciously resembled mockery. I shook my head, assigning human motives to reptiles was ridiculous. Ethan wasn't the lying type anyway. The makeshift terrarium took some engineering. Snow's existing habitat got divided with a plexiglass partition. My albino corn snake stared dopily as his domain halved overnight. Ethan loomed behind me, storm cloud expression darkening when I deposited Shadow beside his pale counterpart. Needs a name, I mused, tapping the glass. Shadow reared up, obsidian scales catching lamplight like liquid night. Don't overthink it, Ethan muttered, though his shoulders relaxed marginally. How about Shadow? Pairs nicely with Snow. The vein in Ethan's temple pulsed visibly. Fine. He bit out through clenched teeth. Behind us, Liam finally overcame his ophidiophobia, pressing his nose to the glass. It's magnificent. Male or female? Male? Ethan interjected instantly. I raised an eyebrow. While Shadow's tapered tail suggested masculinity, Ethan's certainty felt personal. Retrieving a probe from my snake handling kit, I ignored Ethan's sharp inhale. How's that work? Liam asked, leaning closer. Simple. I demonstrated with a plastic model. Insert the probe toward the tail past the cloacal vent. Deeper penetration indicates male organs. Ethan made a strangled noise that might have been a suffocated scream. Ethan Clark's face paled slightly. I spoke while locating a precise spot on the probe. Maybe this deep, or perhaps a bit longer. Ethan's complexion turned another shade whiter. Wow, that's amazing. I want to see. Liam's eyes sparkled with admiration. His gaze made me straighten up proudly, basking in the satisfaction. Easy enough. Let me just sterilize this probe. I reached for the iodine solution when Ethan suddenly seized my wrist. The probe clattered to the floor with crystalline clarity. What's wrong? I blinked in confusion. Something was off about Ethan. His trembling fingers betrayed him, those puppy dog eyes brimming with primal panic rather than scientific curiosity. The probe looks painful. Shadow might feel uncomfortable. Concern for the subject. My estimation of the campus heartthrob rose. Beneath that icy exterior beat a compassionate heart attuned to even reptile discomfort. Don't worry. I patted his hand reassuringly. I'll be gentle. Shadow will feel right at ease. As I bent to retrieve the probe, Ethan's AJ-clad foot shot out lightning fast, sending the instrument skittering under the bed. Liam and I exchanged bewildered looks. Jason, listen. Ethan cradled my face with startling intensity, his sculpted features radiating desperate sincerity. Shadow really would feel pain. Under Ethan's inexplicable insistence. I reconsidered. Compression method then? Perfect. That works. Ethan wheeled on Liam with Arctic menace. No objections? The smaller man shook his head frantically. And none. Whatever Ethan says. Better not. Ethan's glare could have frozen magma. As they bickered, I opened the terrarium. Shadow, who'd earlier coiled around my fingers, now cowered in the corner, obsidian eyes quivering like a condemned prisoner awaiting execution. Easy there, buddy. I stroked his scales soothingly. The tension melted from his serpentine body. Seizing the moment, I flipped him belly up, positioned my thumbs near the cloaca, and applied gentle pressure. 2 crimson hemipenes emerged. Show me again. Liam leaned forward eagerly. Watch closely. I released, letting the organs retract before repeating the motion. See? Let me demonstrate a few more times. And out. And out. Ah. Ethan's choked gasp interrupted. I glanced up to find him biting his knuckles. Blush spreading across his face like wildfire. What's wrong now? I asked. Ethan frantically waved his hands. Nothing. Nothing. I need to use the restroom. He bolted away like his life depended on it, leaving Liam and me utterly confused. Liam remarked. I nodded in agreement, glancing at Shadow who lay limp in my hands with his tongue lolling out. Poor thing needed rest. Gently, I returned the corn snake to his terrarium. Since adopting Shadow, I'd somewhat neglected my other pet snake. Snowflake had always been temperamental, rarely allowing handling. But Shadow? This little guy clung to me like Velcro, resisting his enclosure to coil around my neck. After 5 years of snake keeping, finally having an affectionate serpent to dote on thrilled me beyond measure. Who's Daddy's sweet baby? I cooed in a high-pitched voice. Shadow lifted his head regally, tail tip pointing at himself. That's right. Shadow's Daddy's sweet baby. I smothered him with kisses. And who's Daddy's good boy? As Shadow arched backward comically to gesture at himself again, Liam suddenly spoke up. Ethan, isn't that posture uncomfortable? Our roommate sat rigidly by the window, chin lifted with a peculiar smirk as if privately gloating over some victory. The anatomy textbook before him lay untouched until Liam's question snapped him back to reality. Ethan cleared his throat awkwardly. And no, this improves circulation. Something about his expression struck me as familiar. I glanced between Shadow and Ethan just as the corn snake transformed body coiled in aggressive S-curves, fixated on Liam while hissing vehemently. Does Shadow hate me or something? Liam retreated warily. Maybe you talk too much. Ethan quipped from his perch. Liam's face fell dramatically. You wound me. I demand emotional support. He lunged toward me but swerved last second upon seeing Shadow's defensive stance, instead tackling our quiet roommate Shin. They're bullying me. Shin sighed, patting Liam's head like soothing a child. There. The autumn rains left everything damp. My pajama pants grew moldy in the humidity, forcing me to dig out summer shorts. The exposed legs felt oddly breezy as I emerged from the shower. Liam's eyes lit up when he saw me. Wow, Jason, you're so pale and slim. Really? I tensed up, glancing down at my body. For a guy, being called pale and skinny wasn't exactly a compliment. I hastily lifted my shirt to check my waistline, then pinched my thigh. Maybe I had lost some weight. Turning to Ethan, I asked, do I look thinner? Ethan jumped at being addressed, his ears turning crimson as he stole a quick glance before looking away. You look perfectly fine to me. Perfectly fine, the ultimate consolation prize. My disappointment must have shown because Shadow suddenly slithered down the table leg toward me. Before I could react, the obsidian-scaled serpent coiled around my leg, his cool scales making me shiver. Shadow? Behave. I scolded, trying to pry him loose. Be a good boy or you'll lose your best baby brother privileges. The snake froze before reluctantly unwinding. As I draped him over my arm, he nuzzled my hand until I kissed his triangular head. Instantly revived, Shadow flicked his forked tongue happily, settling at my desk. I opened TikTok. The first viral video showed a guy transforming from nerdy to ripped with a single shirt rip, six-pack glistening under studio lights. Fresh from Ethan's perfectly fine comment. This physique gap stung. I hit like, only for Shadow's tail to swoop in, canceling the heart before swiping to the next clip. Hey, I re-liked it. Shadow retaliated by long pressing the screen, selecting not interested with surgical precision. My jaw dropped. Since when could my pet snake out tech me? 3 videos later, a boy next door type did a multiverse cosplay series with intense eye contact. I tapped the heart. Thunk thunk thunk. Shadow hammered the dislike button so hard the phone vibrated. Lightbulb moment. I searched sexy dance tutorial. A voluptuous influencer popped up, hips swaying to Latin beats. I stared challengingly at Shadow. The serpent stared back, his beady eyes reflecting the gyrating figure. For once, he didn't interfere. See? Nothing to. Crack. The screen went black under Shadow's constricting coils. It stared at me. After a few seconds of silence, its tail tip lifted and extinguished my phone screen under my gaze. Then it crawled from my body onto the desk, leaving only a lonely, aloof silhouette. Shadow? What's wrong? As an experienced snake keeper, I genuinely couldn't decipher its behavior this time. Want kisses? I moved to face it, gazing intently. It shook its head. Really don't? I asked again. Another head shake. Even kisses didn't work. You must be tired, I murmured, recalling Shadow had accompanied me all day. Let's rest. I reached to return it to the terrarium. That, Ethan suddenly spoke up, his expression complicated. Maybe ask one more time? What? He fidgeted, cheeks flushing. The kisses thing. Understanding dawned, but I shook my head at him. You don't know Shadow. I sighed. Shadow's got pride. If it refuses twice, that's final. Ethan looked dumbstruck, locking eyes with the snake. Is Shadow really like that? Absolutely, I affirmed. You're exhausted, right? Let's sleep. Shadow glanced between Ethan and me, its head wobbling in a circular motion between shaking and nodding. See? It's so tired it can't even control itself. I stroked its head, going, poor thing needs rest, before settling it in the terrarium. Good night. Ethan chuckled bitterly. Fine then. I meant Shadow. He hastily clarified when I turned. I fell asleep quickly after lights out. Next morning, I gasped at the crimson marks sprawling up my bare legs from ankles to thighs. Clicking my tongue at the sight, I shrugged it off as dust mite bites. Our dorm's humidity could condense water from air these days. After breakfast, I went to take Shadow out as usual, but found our dormant white snake finally responding. Perhaps sensing its owner's impending invasion, it began actively seeking attention. Its pale head peeked from the terrarium, round eyes fixed on me while rhythmically flicking its tongue, clear petting request. Instantly abandoning Shadow, I turned to the white snake. 5 years of companionship demanded loyalty. Besides, white king snakes lived shorter than black kings. Now that Her Majesty finally lowered her dignity for affection, how could I refuse? I carefully cradled it in my arms. Snowflake's slender body barely fit between my elbows. Turning around, I found Ethan staring intently at me. Good boy, Ethan. I apologized. I'm playing with your brother today. Ethan looked as if struck by lightning. His pleading eyes followed my hands until I reluctantly closed the terrarium lid. Oblivious to the drama, Snowflake coiled around my waist with typical puppy-like enthusiasm. Though my heart ached for Ethan, I focused on giving Snowflake undivided attention. Fairness mattered. Liam noisily slurped his soy milk. Why not let Ethan join? We don't mind the chaos. Absolutely not. My answer brooked no argument. King snakes eat other serpents, and white rat snakes are notoriously territorial. They'll fight to the death. I couldn't bear either being hurt. After settling Snowflake, metallic thuds echoed from Ethan's enclosure. Each impact made me flinch. Midway through playtime, I decided to switch. The moment I lifted Ethan's lid, he launched at Snowflake like a coiled spring. No, I barked, yanking Snowflake to safety. Both snakes hissed, scales flaring in mutual hostility. Ethan materialized beside me, frost crackling in his arctic blue eyes. What's happening? Ethan froze mid-strike. The rebuke from his beloved human shattered him. He curled into a miserable spiral in the corner, broken serpent and startled albino snake mirroring the tension between Ethan's glacial glare and my anxious hovering. Returning snowflake to his tank, I tugged Ethan's sleeve. Don't scold him so harshly. Ethan's jaw unclenched slightly. Needs discipline, he muttered, though his fingers gently brushed my wrist. Ethan shrank further into himself. Parenting crisis struck. This was exactly why people warned against getting second pets unprepared. Maintaining fairness felt impossible. Maybe we should rehome one? I murmured. Ethan's face went sheet white. The choice was logical. Ethan had been a stray with potential owners. His adaptability outweighed Snowflake's aggression issues. My fingers trembled as I texted an exotic pet rescuer. Liam leaned across the lab table. Well, Jason. Ethan's leaving. Ethan's chair shrieked against concrete. Anguish pooled in his bloodshot eyes. Ethan? His whisper cracked. At my nod, Ethan collapsed into his seat, fingers drumming manic rhythms. The shattered look haunted me. I'd broken 2 hearts today. Shadow had buried his head in his body for a long time, completely motionless. My heart shattered into pieces. If only there were a perfect solution that satisfied everyone. Perhaps driven by obsession. I dreamed during my sleep that Shadow crawled out of his terrarium. His enormous serpentine tail coiled tightly around me. Those round black eyes resembling grapes streamed tears as he asked, "Why don't you want me?" The dream felt so real I could actually sense the icy texture constricting my legs, and what seemed like a heavy weight pressing down on my body. The suffocating pressure became unbearable until I jolted awake. Instead of darkness, I found Ethan's face hovering above me, tears like little pearls rolling down his cheeks. What's wrong? Though Ethan possessed delicate, doll-like features, his personality remained aloof and distant, always maintaining an impenetrable barrier. This marked the first time I'd ever seen him cry. Something truly devastating must have happened. My inexperience with comforting left me flustered. Reaching out to wipe his tears, I froze when he turned his face away. After silently weeping for moments, he finally spoke in a trembling voice. "Why don't you want me?" "What do you mean?" I blinked in confusion. "You liar," he hiccuped, accusation lacing his words. "Wasn't I supposed to be your favorite?" My mind blanked. What on earth was Ethan talking about? Before rational thought returned, physical awareness struck. The strange sensation around my legs felt all wrong. My exploring fingers encountered cold, smooth scales. Yanking the blanket aside, I nearly stopped breathing. Ethan's lower body transformed into a massive obsidian serpent's tail. "Your shadow?" My fingers shook as I pointed at the reptilian appendage. Ethan nodded, his tail tightening until I couldn't budge. "Are you scared now? Think I'm a monster?" When I stayed silent, despair flooded his features. "Jason, listen, even if you see me as a freak, it's too late. I've chosen you. I'll haunt you forever. You can't give me to anyone else." His frantic rambling faded into white noise as I stared transfixed at the magnificent coiled tail. Ethan was Shadow. Shadow was Ethan. The revelation hit me with dizzying euphoria. "Perfect?" I breathed. "What?" Ethan froze mid-tirade, bewildered by my reaction. Looking up with flushed cheeks and shining eyes. Only one thought consumed me: I needed to make Ethan mine. The ideal solution had revealed itself. Acting on impulse, I looped my arms around his neck and pressed my lips to his. The kiss left Ethan stunned, his entire body rigid even after I pulled back. Nestling against his chest, I murmured, "Ethan, be with me." After a beat, I added pleadingly, "Please." We became inseparable afterward. Ethan explained he was a serpent spirit, with Shadow representing his emotional counterpart sharing all sensations. Shadow acts on raw feelings like attacking Snowball, he admitted, hesitating before adding, or visiting you without permission. So Shadow had sought me out deliberately. My heart melted. Establishing new rules, I told Shadow. First, no jealousy. Second, respect your brother Snowball. The serpent nodded obediently, his earlier melancholy replaced by vibrant excitement. The crisis was resolved. And he wasn't emo anymore, just an overjoyed snake spirit vibrating with happiness. I just reached out to stroke its head when it zipped up my sleeve in a flash. Sensing its intention to bite, I swiftly pulled Ethan out by the collar. My accusatory glare pinned him in place. Ah, he scratched his neck sheepishly. Shadow lost control again. Did it now? My eyes narrowed, recalling the unexplained red marks on my thigh yesterday. You didn't do anything inappropriate while I slept last night? Did you? Ethan shook his head frantically, terror flashing across his features. No. It wasn't me, it was Shadow. His elegant fingers pointed unhesitatingly at the black snake coiled nearby. Shadow whipped his head side to side in protest, tail tip jabbing accusingly toward Ethan, a clear declaration of innocence. Fine. Neither confesses. My smile turned glacial. Both get punished. Grabbing Shadow by the tail, I applied rhythmic pressure using my practice technique. Squeeze. Release. Squeeze. Shadow went limp. Ethan dramatically collapsed beside him. October through November brought snake breeding season. Ethan became my permanent shadow. I understood his needs perfectly, as any experienced serpent keeper would. The mating process's grueling duration haunted my thoughts, making me deflect his relentless charm offensives. Yet Ethan weaponized vulnerability masterfully. Liam? He murmured throatily, resting his forehead against my shoulder. His puppy dog eyes glistened crimson with barely restrained desire. I'm suffering. Only you can help. Not happening. Liam? Shadow's suffering too. The snake slithered closer, obsidian eyes pooling with manufactured tears. Still no. Please? Ethan's breath hitched artificially. I'd never force you. Just, your hand? That's all I ask. My resolve wavered. Seizing advantage, Ethan clasped his hands beseechingly. Please? I'm begging you. His angelic features and trembling pout breached my defenses. Heat flooded my cheeks as I averted my gaze. Fine. But you keep your word. Victory flashed in Ethan's eyes. Behind my back, his palm met Shadow's tail tip in silent celebration. This fraud dared call me the liar? Glaring daggers at Ethan while massaging my aching lower back. I cursed my own gullibility. His just one touch promise had snowballed into this. Sorry? He mumbled under my death stare. Last night, I lost control. Lost control? My laugh turned arctic, yet somehow remembered every last accessory. Ethan twisted his shirt hem, refusing eye contact. Now you're scared? Too late. Waves of pain throbbed through me as I hissed through clenched teeth, determined to teach that spoiled Ethan a lesson. Ethan thought he was off the hook and sidled up to me with those pleading puppy dog eyes until my single warning glare froze him mid-step. I recall the heat cycle isn't over for a while yet, I said with glacial calm. Ethan kept his head bowed like a scolded child. No wonder Liam had mistaken the snake for another one of my exotic pet purchases. What's Big Brother gonna do now that I'm an invalid? I laced the words with sweet venom. Ethan's delicate features crumpled like crushed tissue paper. Guess you'll have to handle things yourself from here on out. I need rest. I turned away sharply, ignoring his pathetic pout. Ethan whimpered pathetically at the merciless back of his husband's head. Whimper never. Again.